Now welcome to another lightning response video. This time we got a few questions and we will kick it off with this one from Siberian Dream, who asked, "Hey Thor, why are you so set on claiming that Kennedy is the one responsible for wanting to push Rey into more movies? Intellectual honesty requires admitting that it's entirely possible it's Disney. I mean, they invested $4 billion into Rey and they based theme parks around her and the sequels, so they're going to want to commit to them. Some critics insist it's because Kennedy is a feminist and wants more girl power, but she herself has admitted she's no particular fan of Star Wars. When pressed, all she says is that she's proud of what George Lucas did for the industry. That's it. So isn't it entirely possible that after she leaves, the Rey movie still happens? Just food for thought." And first of all, sure, it's entirely possible, but I think I would counter by asking, why are we getting the Mandalorian and Grogu movie next May instead of the Rey movie, which was virtually announced at the same time? Actually, the Rey movie was announced at Celebration, and then like a month later, we got word the Mando and Grogu movie was coming, which seemed very strange not to announce that at Celebration as well. Anyway, I think the reason for that, I think the reason why we're getting a Mando and Grogu movie, why that seemed to be rushed out the door, while the Rey movie is still, as far as we know, in the writing process. They can't seem to settle on a writer. We've had, I think, 4 now. Anyway, I could be wrong, but that really says to me that Disney has more confidence in a Mando and Grogu movie selling than they do a Rey movie. I think they are the ones who pushed that one out the door. They heard that, oh, Favreau already wrote season 4. Well, why don't we just turn that into a movie, put it into the theaters, and try to salvage our film franchise that way? Because everybody loves that little green guy. Whereas if they thought Rey was going to do the same, or if they wanted to salvage Rey, wouldn't they try to get that movie out there already? Wouldn't it be, I don't know about rushed, but wouldn't there be a priority to get that thing made instead of it still being in pre-production at the very most? I mean, if I'm Disney or if I'm anybody running a company or if I just paid $4 billion for some sort of property, doesn't have to be Star Wars, doesn't have to be movies, and I made a new product and a lot of people seem to not like that product. And as I kept producing it, the sales, my revenue kept going down and was cut in half by the time I was done producing it, which is what happened in the sequels. The first one came out $2 billion. The last one comes out as $1 billion, which, yes, is still a lot of money, but that's still losing half your box office returns. Anyway, my point is, why would you keep going with it? Yes, you have a theme park where Rey walks around, and maybe the hope is there. Well, younger people go to that theme park. Obviously, a lot of parents take their young children there, and they're going to see Rey and maybe get excited for Rey and want to see the movies, and then they'll become lifelong fans of the franchise and Rey. I don't think Disney wants to throw away the character or anything quite like that, but I don't know that they're like, yes, we got to get it out there now. I personally think, I'm not trying to be intellectually dishonest, but I personally think this is more a Kennedy thing. Like, she knows she's leaving soon. She has basically said by the end of the year she should be gone. That is no longer a rumor. That is something she herself has admitted. And if she looks back at her time at Lucasfilm, which is what everybody is going to remember her for henceforth, she will always be known as Kennedy, the destroyer of Star Wars by a lot of people. I would imagine she wants to fix that reputation if at all possible, and the best way, the only way you could argue to do that, would be to salvage what she is most responsible for, that being the sequel trilogy. And who is the character most associated with that? Rey. So my thinking here is if she wants to salvage that legacy, which will forever be those movies, she has to salvage the character of Rey, and thus it is taking so long to get that movie out there because she wants to get it just right. She knows they can't just throw any Rey movie out there and hope to fix the character. So she keeps bringing in new writers. She's unhappy. The movie can't move along because I think really if it was Disney, like, yeah, we need to get her out there. We need to start fixing her. They would have made it happen the same way I think they made the Mando and Grogu movie happen. Now, this is all pure speculation on my part. Yes, I could be wrong. But anyway, I just think that Disney is in no rush to get Rey out there. I mean, why? Yes, there's a chance the character can be salvaged down the road, that what happened to the prequels can happen here, where there is this belief that nobody liked the prequels and now everybody likes the prequels, and that eventually that'll happen with the sequels. I've talked about why I don't think that'll be the case before, but I don't think Disney is in any rush to try and do that. I think they're trying to just make some money off this franchise, and they think the absolute best way to do that right now in this moment is Mando and Grogu, not Rey. Again, could be wrong, just my thoughts. All right, now we move on to this one from Callum Quinn Creates, who asked, "Hey Thor, when I was younger, I read anything Star Wars I could find, first from the EU and then the new canon. However, as the years have gone by, I found it harder and harder to get excited for the books and comics. I still watch the shows and movies, and I still love Star Wars, but how am I supposed to be excited about the new canon when Disney ignores it and pumps it full of pointless side stories? As for the EU, there's tons of great stories, but growing up, the thing that made it exciting for me wasn't just the quality, but also the fact that what I was reading was part of this amazing larger universe. I know the fact that it isn't canon shouldn't bother me, but it does. Is this a common idea you've seen in the fandom? Do you have any advice for getting excited for Star Wars books and comics again? Love the channel. I wish I did, I really wish I did, but I think you summed up the problem quite well here, which is that once upon a time, the EU was where the story was happening. It's where all the major events were going down. It was pretty much the only Star Wars we were getting, depending on when exactly in the EU you want to talk about. But that's it. That's where the big important things happened. That's where the story was progressing. And I'm not saying it was perfect continuity, it certainly wasn't, but that's where Star Wars again was happening. That's where everything happened, and there was certainly a concerted effort to make it all fit together and make sense. But now, with the new canon, it's not where the story is happening anymore, it's where the side quests go. Most of the books nowadays are just taking a character or a group of characters, putting them in a situation, and then something happens, and it's not important. It's just this little blip in their life, and that's about it. An example of this, and I haven't read the book, I'm not trying to say it's a bad book or anything, but the latest book to come out this week was actually The Bad Batch Sanctuary. It takes place after season 2 of The Bad Batch, and maybe it's a good book, maybe it's a great story. Again, I don't know, but I do know nothing really all that important can happen in it. I know certain characters can or cannot die. I know where they're going to be after the book, so there's not this excitement to read just a side quest for the Bad Batch. Again, I'm not trying to say the book maybe isn't good or that I won't read it or anything like that, but that's the problem with a lot of the books that come out. It's taking a random character again and giving us a random story, and it just doesn't feel like it's part of the universe. It feels like it's being inserted in there to sell a book. And even when they try to push the boundaries forward, like they did with the High Republic, they still pick a time period where you really can't push boundaries. You're still limited by what you can do. And until they change that, until maybe they go Old Republic or go way into the future with the books and comics into a time period that isn't directly connected to another, I don't know that that's going to change. I don't know that they're going to bring excitement back to Star Wars books anytime soon. All right, and one final question here, and it comes to us from Sky Mario, who asked, "Hey Thor, my question is, what do you want in a Star Wars game? I myself would think that a Muso Star Wars game, look up Fate Extella or Hyrule Warriors for reference, that would be so damn cool to play or just to see in action and play through the Star Wars saga in that kind of genre would be cool. But what would be your preferred game genre for Star Wars?" All right, so first of all here, I have played Hyrule Warriors before. I am a huge Zelda fan. I have loved the franchise since the very first game when I was young. I used to do speed runs in it before speed runs were even a thing. They weren't exactly speed runs. I used to see if I could beat the game without dying, and the best I could ever do was only dying once. I used to play it over and over again. I could beat it in a couple hours, maybe. I don't remember. That was almost 40 years ago. But I do love Zelda. I'd love to see Star Wars do something like that. Anyway, what would I like to see Star Wars do? I would love another RPG like Knights of the Old Republic. It doesn't have to be the remake of Knights of the Old Republic, though I would be happy if they finally ever got that out too. But something along those lines where I can play a Force-sensitive character who gets to choose between the dark and the light, who is making selfless or selfish decisions, and then I get to see what becomes of the galaxy or those around me because of those decisions. As I always say, that's what Star Wars is all about. It's about choices and how the choices we make can impact those around us, or many people around us, or even the entire galaxy in some instances. And so for me, a game done like that and done really, really well would be amazing. Plus, I do love role-playing games. I love to skill up my characters and grind levels and all of that. So I would love a new Star Wars RPG or something along those lines, some big open world game where I can go around and again, alter the galaxy or alter the fate of people based on my decisions. All right, well, that is going to be all I got for you this time. Now it is your turn to take to the comments below and tell me what you think about my answers, or you can ask a question for a future lightning response video. All you got to do is you start your comment with "Hey Thor," you ask your question. I try to answer it in a future video, and again, I get lots and lots of them, so I can't answer them all, but I do appreciate them all. I do read them all. So again, take to the comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars, and until next time, thanks for watching.